Okay, so a few weeks ago, I read out a letter from our favorite Australian author, IFLA, a guy who grew up loving America and watched it all fall apart within like a year. Thousands of you said you could relate to it, and then there were a few that said they never loved the United States to begin with. Fair enough, everyone has their own views. Well, the same people just published a new article. Except this time it's not from an Aussie looking from the outside in. It's from a mom in Texas, a history teacher. And she's apologizing to us, the rest of the world. Now the question is, do we accept that apology? I'll let you guys decide later. But the person in the article is not the only one apologizing, because we do have US citizens in the GTL community who are also doing the same. Now I know there's a lot of Canadians that are hurt, angry, and upset at the United States, and won't accept an apology. Now I totally understand that, because I mean sometimes I have my moods as well, especially after I read hater comments. But as a content creator who thousands of people somehow listen to, I'm going to give my point of view on this at the end of the video. So let's get started on this article from IFLA. And IFLA, if you're watching this or listening to this, you're more than welcome to come on my channel anytime. The invitation is still there. Okay, so this article is titled, An Apology to the World, signed, a mom in Texas. Now, if this is the first time you're watching my videos, I'll read out the whole article just in case you're just listening or for the visually impaired. I just realized this guy's sleeping. I mean, the quote-unquote leader of the free world can't even stay awake. Anyways, let's get started. I have taught history for 15 years, and all my time, I could never quite show a room full of kids what national embarrassment actually looks like. You're gonna have lots of opportunity now. It's always something in the textbook, something that happens in other countries, in black and white, a long time ago. Well, I can show them now. You sit the most powerful man on earth behind the desk, you put a microphone in front of him, and you let the camera run until his chin drops to his chest. There it is, printed in the book. My daddy was a Texas oil man. My granddaddy picked cotton with his hands. I come from people who pulled a living straight out of the ground. So do not let everyone tell you I do not understand energy. Energy is not a bumper sticker in this family. It's the light bill. It's the difference between a good year and a hard one. And that is why what I watched on the 4th of June did not make me angry at first. It made me ashamed. Does anyone know what happened on the 4th of June? I mean, I don't know. There's just so much going on. Anyways, because while the man slept, okay, I guess he was sleeping, his cabinet stood behind him and committed nearly 700 million of our dollars to coal. Coal. They reached back and dusted off a wartime law from 1950. The one I used to teach my juniors was written to build tanks and ships for a world war, and they used it to prop up the dirtiest, oldest rock that we've got, a fuel my own father would have told you was finished before I left high school. We're into energy that really works, Taco Tuesday said. He said that, about coal, in 2026, and then, near as I can tell, he had himself a nap. Okay, he was definitely napping. Let me show you the video.
Of warmth, of a job, an economy, a community, a family. And for too long, you saw Democrats who were telling these coal miners that they should just learn the code. And what we saw during the Biden administration at the EPA, for example, was regulation after regulation after regulation, trying to strangulate out of existence.
Yeah, he's definitely struggling to stay awake. Anyways, let's move on. Here's the part that really should make every grown adult in this country sit down. The price he claims he's fixing went up because we lit a war in the Persian Gulf. We started a fire, and now we're using a fire law to dig up coal to put it out, while the cheapest power humanity has ever invented, the sun and the wind, sits right there waiting, patient as a Sunday. I taught the Defense Production Act to children. I never once imagined I would have to teach them this. I taught my students that America was a country that ran towards the future. I cannot stand in front of them this week and say that with a straight face. Now, a few weeks ago, I didn't even know that Taco Tuesday hated wind turbines, and I found out why. It's because of his golf course, and he thinks they're ugly, and he started making all of these weird claims about them. But one man's derangement is really screwing over the entire country, just because he doesn't think they're aesthetically, visually appealing, or they're reducing property value, some bullshit like that. Because of his own deranged beliefs, the entire country has to fail. But then again, we live in an era where facts don't mean anything, and if the president doesn't like it, he just calls it fake news. But what's even more sad is that you have people like this who believe everything that he says.
So, I didn't really do much research, so I can't make comment, but I just trust Trump. Whatever Trump does, I'm going to take his word and go with it. He's the best guy on the planet.
This right here is one of the biggest problems in the United States right now. Just people believing anything that he says. I mean, hell, he could tell people that looking at an eclipse directly at it will help to reduce gas prices, and people will probably do it. I'm talking about guys like in the last clip I just showed. Anyways, let's get back to the article. So let me turn and speak to the rest of you, because somebody in this country ought to. To Australia, who has stood in the mud beside us for 100 years, who never once asked if the cause was convenient, only whether we were in it together. To Canada, to Britain, to New Zealand, To every ally who sat down with us after 1945 and helped build a world that was supposed to be better than the one that had just burned down. I'm so sorry. You did not sign up for this. You signed up for a partner, and we handed you a man who cannot keep his eyes open through his own announcement. We did not earn your trust by being the loudest country in the room. We earned it by being awake. Look at us now. Now, I got a little bit of a discrepancy with this last part. She says, we did not earn your trust by being the loudest country in the room. Well, to be honest, you are the loudest country in the room. When I mean loud, how do I say this? You're loud in a sense where your soft power was in our face. The glitz and glam of Hollywood, the tourist attractions, constantly saying that your country is the greatest country in the world. There's no way anybody in a room could ignore it. It'd be like being stuck in an elevator with this guy.
Gordon, there's never been a better time. We are in the golden age of travel and tourism and sports, as President Trump says. This is the time, if you're an international visitor, if you're contemplating a trip to the United States, don't delay, book right away. You're going to be looked after. We're going to make sure that your travel experience is as seamless as possible. From the moment that you land on the tarmac.
Okay, that's enough of this garden gnome. Can you imagine actually being stuck in an elevator with him? Like, holy shit. But it helps to prove my point. Because in the past, being the loudest country actually did have its benefit for you. Because you created this facade that being part of the United States, or being a partner with the United States, or being allies with the United States, would be beneficial for us. Countries have joined your war when we shouldn't have. We have helped the United States when it probably didn't benefit us. And shout out to Jean Chrétien for not joining the Iraq War in 2003. But looking back at it, I wouldn't necessarily call it trust. I would look at it as just going with what the bigger nation wanted us to do. I think a lot of Canadians and international viewers have had a lot of time to think about the relationship in the past. And for me personally, this is just my opinion. I really don't know if it was a two-way trust, or if it was just us doing what the loudest person wanted us to do. I hope I make sense on this. I mean, I'm having a tough time getting it out of my head and into, the mic. But if you understand what I'm trying to say, let me know in the comments below if you agree with me or not. Alright, let's keep going. Now I know exactly how we got this far, because I live a few doors down from it. Her name is Jennifer. Jennifer is not a monster. And that's the part people keep getting wrong. She coaches the U10 soccer team. She brings a casserole when somebody gets sick. She would give you the coat off her back in a cold parking lot. She's also forwarded me a video at 11 at night about how the war is secretly wonderful for gas prices. What the fuck? How coal is staging a comeback, and the experts do not want you to know about. How a sleepy man at the desk is actually playing chess, while the rest of us are playing checkers. She did not read a single article. She watched a 40-second clip of a confident fella in a parked car with good lighting, and now it is gospel at the school pickup line. That is how it happens, not with jackboots and not with tanks. It happens with a tired, decent woman who stopped checking, because checking is exhausting, and the lie was already sitting right there in her pocket, free of charge. You do not beat a lie by getting tired before it does. Jennifer is counting on the rest of us to quit. I have no intention of giving her the satisfaction. Where do I start with this? I think the first thing I'm going to comment on is when she says it happens with a tired, decent woman who stops checking, because checking is exhausting. No, that's not exhausting, that's just laziness. Being too lazy to fact check yourself, and believing a liar on everything that he says. That is what Jennifer is, a lazy person. It might sound mean, but it is the truth. And to be honest, I could care less if she coached the U10 soccer team, or if she brings you a casserole dish. If she has time to do that, she doesn't have time to fact check what the president is saying? I mean, if you ask me, that's a load of shit, and even my cat doesn't like it. When it comes down to it, it just comes down to pure laziness. Let me know if I'm the only one thinking this. I hope I'm not, but this is just the vibe that I'm getting right now. Anyways, moving on. So here's the promise, which is the only part of this that is actually mine to keep. My boy Cole is 12. He reads the Constitution the way other kids read comic books, and he asked me a question at the dinner table I cannot always answer. The other night, he looked up from his plate and asked me how things like this happen to a country. How you go from the men who stayed awake on a ship in the dark in 1944 to a man who cannot stay awake at his desk in the daylight. I did not have a clean answer for him, so I gave him a promise instead, and now I'm giving that promise to all of you. I'm going to spend whatever years I have left making sure my children know the difference between a leader and a man asleep at a desk. That is the only apology worth the paper it's printed on. I'm not going to ease up, not on the misinformation, not on the men who get rich selling it, and not on the Jennifers who swallow it whole, because nobody ever sat with them long enough to walk them back out of it. I will correct the same lie 100 times if that's what it takes. I will be at the school board meetings and the precinct table, of my own kitchen table, every single time, because that is where this gets decided. not on television and not on a 40-second video. I will teach my Lily and my Cole and my little Jake that loving your country is not a feeling you post. It is a chore that you do over and over, whether anyone claps or not. Because the moment we get tired, the moment we decide that the Jennifers are a lost cause and that the lie is too big to bother with, is the exact moment the next one of these men walks straight through the door we left open. That is how we got him the first time. I am not the least bit interested in finding out how we get him the second. Now, my opinion on this is a little bit different, because I think the Jennifers are a lost cause. It's hard to break the mega cult. Although I do have to say, I did find a website where there was a group, a support group, I guess, for former MAGA people who are, turning the light bulb on in their head. And it is a good thing, but, one thing you gotta remember, there's 77 million of them. But this is just my opinion, and what people should be focusing on are the 90 million that did not vote. Because they are the ones who could have swung this election in a different direction. Now, I know there might be some in that 90 or 93 million that couldn't vote, whether it's because they had a different last name or they didn't have the right documents or whatever else. But 93 million is a lot of people. And I don't believe for a second that 93 million people couldn't vote. And if you look at the numbers here, it didn't take very much to swing it. I mean, another 5 million votes or even 10 million votes. We might be in a different situation right now. In my opinion, there's not much you can do for the people who voted for Taco Tuesday, that red area. I mean, if the MAGA decides to turn on that light bulb, great. But to me, the green area is the biggest problem. That would be the most logical group to target if that was me. But I'm not a US citizen, so it's up to them. Last screenshot for this article. I cried at the end of Top Gun Maverick like a baby. The flag on my porch is not ironic. And I am not handing any of it over to the men who fell asleep on the job. They do not get to keep the country. We do. But only if we are willing to stay awake longer than they are. And a good deal longer than Jennifer's feed wants us to. I am sorry, world. We let it get this far. We will not let it happen again. I am one woman in Texas with a teaching certificate and a long memory, and I promise you, I am not the only one. Signed, Texas Mom. I would like to thank IFLA for posting this on his Substack. And if you haven't checked out his Substack page, I'll leave a link to it in the description below. Definitely subscribe to his Substack. I recommend it. Now, in regards to this article, or this Texas Mom, when she states, we will not let this happen again, I'm very skeptical on that. And I'm not skeptical of the Texas Mom, or even our US viewers that are in the garden leave community. What I am skeptical on is the green part in this pie chart. The non-voters. And to a certain extent, those that voted for Democrats as well. Because in my opinion, and this is just me and my feeling, I feel that there's not enough US citizens that actually do care. Speaking from someone who is looking from the outside in, we do see a small group that is trying to be the resistance. But then again, we also see a bigger group that just doesn't care. And to be honest, it falls in line with the media as well. Because of my channel, I'm subscribed to a lot of US and local, state, county media outlets. I'm subscribed to them because I want to be able to report on things. But one trend I have noticed is that what they're reporting is just basically status quo. Everything's business as usual. Reporting about adding a new museum, holding a tractor trek to beat cancer, June Dairy Days car show, and a monster truck rally, or whatever the hell that is. It bothers me because there seems to be no attention on what's going on in the world right now. And yes, I totally get it. The United States media censors their citizens. But back to the article and the apology from this Texas mom. Does it hold any weight with me? I'll have to be honest, and I actually say no. And while I appreciate that she's written all of this for us to see, she is only one mom. Along with our US viewers who are in the GTL community. You guys are a very small minority. Maybe minority is not a right word, but very small group in the United States. And I think the international community, until we see that small group turn into a bigger group, unfortunately for me, the apology doesn't hold much weight. But I guess we'll see what happens in the midterms. And if the non-voter group stays the same at about 90 to 93 million, you can bet that the international community is not going to believe anything the United States says again. To close off this video, I would like to thank Nancy for emailing me this photo from Ashbridges Bay in Ontario. I don't think I've ever featured a photo from here before, so you're probably going to be the first. But I really appreciate you sending it over and sharing it with our community. Okay, everyone, that's it for this video. And I do want to thank IFLA again for posting this on his Substack. If you found any value in anything I said today, or you want to hear more from a Canadian and international point of view, without the US media bias, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. That way you'll be notified of my future videos. And don't forget to hit the bell icon and select all as well. Now, if you want to see more of my videos, check out the ones that are going to show up on your screen shortly. Thanks, everyone. I'll catch you in the next one.